Welcome to another episode of Systematic Geekology. This is a space where we seek to create and cultivate healthy conversations between those things we geek out on and the philosophical and theological questions that often arise out of our fandoms. Like, what does it mean to be human? What makes a hero? What makes a villain? How do the stories and narratives we geek out on shape how we live in the world? We are your priest to the geeks. We aren't all ordained, but we see ourselves as mediators at the intersection of geek culture and going deeper in our faith. We don't always have to agree, but we do respect each other. And we see everyone as a beloved child of God. Everyone geeks out on something, so come geek out with us and enjoy the show.
This show is a proud member of the Anazal Podcast Network.
Steven Spielberg has made us afraid to go in the water, believe a bicycle could fly, and cry over an alien. Somehow, we even care deeply about a professor with a whip. I am joined here by Kevin Schaefer to talk a little bit about Steven Spielberg and our love, our fanhood of his movies. Hi, welcome.
Oh, Jill, I am stoked for this episode. I texted you the other day when I was going to see Disclosure Day, and I'm like, okay, we've got to do this, because we've done the Ryan Coogler episode, which was great, did the Oscars one, but this is, Spielberg season. We'll probably do, we'll definitely talk Disclosure Day at some point, but it was a great time just to talk about our favorite Spielberg movies, and I'm so excited to hear your list and, all the reasons and whatnot.
Yeah, I love it. I really loved that text. And basically, we just said, let's get on and talk about Steven Spielberg. And why don't we just go through our top 5? So today we're going to dive in. Top 5 movies for both of us. Before we get started on that, I do want to ask, what are you geeking out about right now?
Sure. So I actually texted the whole Systematic Geekology group chat about this, but Widow's Bay is easily one of my favorite shows in I don't know how long. I mean, there's been a lot of great TV lately and, in recent years, but this is an Apple TV series that just concluded its first season. Thankfully, it got renewed. Speaking of Spielberg, there's a lot of Jaws influence here, particularly with the main character. He's very much inspired by the mayor from Jaws because he's the mayor of this island town somewhere off the coast of New England, and it has a long history of curses and superstitions, and he's trying to still be the businessman and but he genuinely he's not as much of a character as the mayor in Jaws. He genuinely cares about the people there, but he's trying to still build up business and restore the reputation of the town to the outside world. But meanwhile, this crazy weird stuff, horror stuff is happening all the time, and each episode functions like a Stephen King short story. There's still an overarching narrative, but there's different horror elements in each episode. It's also the brilliant thing about it. It's created by Katie Dippold, who was a writer on Parks and Rec, and she's written some Paul Feig movies, and so very comedy background. It's as funny a show as it is scary, and it perfectly merges horror and comedy. Phenomenal cast, just phenomenal storytelling all around. It's I was I'm sad that season 1 is over, but I'm so glad it got renewed, and I can't wait to tell more people about it and get more people interested, because it's just superb storytelling all around.
I'm so excited to watch it now. I have seen it on the screen for Apple TV, but I had no idea what it was. I don't really love horror, but I'll take it in bite-sized pieces. So I think this might be okay for me.
And I think you would enjoy it because, again, it is hilarious at times. And it's not so much jump scares as it is kind of playing on different horror motifs. There's a Michael Myers type episode. There's an Evil Dead one. There's one dealing with a mist type fog and all these things. But the cast alone will have you just sucked in right away.
Okay, good. I can't wait for it.
Yeah.
So I am geeking out about Spider Noir, and I think I came to it a little bit late, and I keep turning it on really late at night. So even though it's super entertaining, I'm only getting one episode and then I'm exhausted. So I think I'm on episode 6 right now and just loving it. Everything Nicolas Cage embodying this character of Ben Reilly is perfection. The actor that plays Joe Robertson,
Lamorne Morris,
yes. Oh my goodness, the two of them together. I love the cast. I love the cinematography of this. It's fantastic.
It's one of those you watch and you're like, I didn't know I needed this, but it's everything I ever wanted, like from like a multiverse story. And
yes.
I mean, Nicolas Cage was perfect in the role in the Spider-Verse animated movies, but seeing that particular version brought to live action, and Lamorne Morris is also one of my favorite character actors. But I'm a guy. I was watching it more like an episode or two at a time. I kind of wish they had released it once a week because you get a lot of material per episode, and I was kind of disappointed that they dropped it of the season at once because I like the weekly release format. Mm-hmm. But great show.
Yeah, I am just loving it, and it's like. I can picture it as, I never read this graphic novel series, but I can picture it exactly. Yes, they've done it so well. Yeah.
And just like the throwback to Humphrey Bogart films, and like Nicolas Cage even said that he hopes that this show gets particularly younger audiences to go and seek out classic film noir.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it will, for sure.
Yeah, excellent choice.
Yeah, very good. So we're ready. Let's dive in to our Steven Spielberg top 5 films. As we had texted, there are over 35 films to choose from. So this is by no means an exhaustive list.
No.
Very personalized, probably for the moment that we chose it.
I was debating up until when I texted you my list, and even then it could change tomorrow. And it felt like sacrilegious to leave some of my favorites out there. But again, I mean, I know we talked about the Ryan Coogler episode. Coogler is someone who he hasn't directed. He's young too, but he hasn't directed like a massive amount of movies. Like him and Edgar Wright, they work really hard on a movie every few years. And, they always deliver out of the park, but it was easy to go through his entire filmography. But Spielberg, it's he's directed over 35. It's so hard. And most are good or great. I mean, yes, there are a few that are not as good, but when you make that many, you're bound to have a few that are not masterpieces. But it was so hard narrowing it down to a top 5.
Yes. Can you go ahead and kick us off with what was your number 5?
Let's do it. So my number 5, I think, is one that is very underrated. It's not one of the, again, it was hard picking some of the ones that are my favorites. I couldn't quite put on here, but one I really wanted to give a spotlight to, and that I absolutely love, is The Adventures of Tintin from 2011. It's just oh my gosh. So let's see. I was in high school when it came out. I remember vividly going to see it. This is one where I knew nothing about the character going in. Those particular comics weren't, not that they weren't accessible here, but it was, even as a comics reader, it wasn't really a book I was familiar with. And even Spielberg, actually, the funny story, the way he discovered it was after Indiana Jones came out. He read an article a review that said, compared it to Tintin, and he had never heard of it, and then went and sought out the comic strips from Europe, and fell in love. And whereas Peter Jackson, who, this is the first thing I want to say about this movie is that sometimes when you have too many cooks in the kitchen, it can be not work out as well. But this is one where you have Spielberg, Peter Jackson, and Edgar Wright working on the same movie, and it's a beautiful smorgasbord of just some of my favorite creative voices out there. But Peter Jackson grew up a huge fan of the comics. He said he used to read them on lunch breaks at school. So he was a long time pursuing the project. But yes, we're both of us tonight are going to talk about a variety of whimsical, adventurous Spielberg movies, and then the more quote unquote serious and deals ones with different themes and whatnot. This definitely falls to the category of, classic Spielberg, whimsical adventure, nonstop action. But it's amazing looking at this film that he really hadn't done any kind of animation before that. I mean, he worked on projects and stuff, but and he was actually at one point attached to direct an animated Harry Potter before the originals got. Yeah, that's a fascinating story there too.
Okay.
But which I'm kind of glad that didn't work out. Like I like the live action ones as they were, but that was it's an interesting thought. But an animated adaptation of Tintin. I love this type of animation where it captures the motion capture performance technology that was made famous by Peter Jackson and Andy Serkis, who are both heavily involved in this film. Jackson is a producer, and Andy Serkis plays one of the chief characters. But the animation is just so unique. It's vibrant. There's a particularly great sequence where kind of the classic oneer where Tintin's riding through the streets of Cairo, and it does all these big Indiana Jones type stunts.
Yes.
And it's masterfully executed. This is just a movie I just really love. Are there, quips with the story? Sure. But it's one where I had a blast the first time I saw it, and I can't tell you how many times I've watched it ever since. I just, and it's not just the animation and the style and the aesthetic, but I really love the characters. Tintin as this journalist who is a different type of Indiana Jones. He has the similarities of being an explorer and an action hero, but he's more akin to a Spider-Man kind of thing, a younger inquisitive character. And is kind of not really seeking out action so much as as a story. Whereas Indiana Jones seeks out the artifacts and all the stuff, Tintin is obsessed with the narrative of where different treasures come from, and he also wants to keep it from falling into the wrong hands. And then Captain Haddock, who Andy Serkis voices,
so fun.
Oh my gosh, just one of the most delightful characters. Yes, he's an alcoholic for most of the movie, but they're able to kind of make jokes about that for a kids movie, which is impressive. Yes. And then you have the pirate villain voiced by Jason Isaacs. It's just plus Simon Pegg and Nick Frost. It's just one talent after another involved in this movie. And a fun story too is we were just talking about conventions a minute ago before recording. At GalaxyCon last year, I got the chance to meet Andy Serkis, which was all time.
How cool.
It was nicest guy you could possibly imagine. But on the way out, I said, hey, I know it's not really in your control, but if Tintin 2 ever happens, I'm there opening night. And he's like, you and me both. I want it to happen so much. I was because there's a whole story about that, about Peter Jackson's supposed to direct the sequel, but it's been stuck in development for years and years. And I'm just I want that movie so bad because it leaves it right. It's a very nice self-contained film. If this is the only Tintin movie we ever get, I'm still satisfied, but I would also watch 5 or 6 more in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I agree. I loved this movie.
Yeah.
It's such a delight.
Yeah.
And definitely underrated in his filmography. I was super surprised and happy to see that you chose this.
Yeah.
Because I just think it's a standout for an adventure film, but one that's hardly ever talked about, especially because we have so many great blockbuster hits from Spielberg.
No, it's just, I was astounded by how little it's talked about. I get if you don't love it as much as I do, but just how much it compares to Indiana Jones. I don't know if it was just that it fell under the radar or what, but, whenever I talk to fans of it, like you, they love it too. But yeah, it's just not as much. It doesn't come up in Spielberg discussions nearly as much as I think it should. And it also, watching the behind the scenes commentary, it looks like they had a blast making it too. You just feel the joy all around,
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a classic. Yeah. Good choice.
Yeah. So, well, Jill, I'm very curious to hear what your number 5 pick is, because again, it's a tough to pick, to narrow it down.
It is tough.
Hey, podcast fam. Want to stay even more connected with the show? We've got you covered. Check us out on Instagram and Blue Sky, where we're posting exclusive content and bonus videos and fun updates that you won't get anywhere else. From sneak previews of upcoming episodes to bonus content, our social accounts are the best way to keep the conversation going. Plus, it's a great spot for you to interact with other listeners and share your thoughts. We love hearing from you. When you follow us, it helps us grow and continue bringing you the content that you love. Whether it's a funny poll, a quick clip from today's episodes, or just random thoughts, you'll feel more plugged into everything we're doing. So go ahead and hit that follow button on Instagram and Blue Sky. It's one more way to be a part of the show and keep the good vibes flowing. Thanks for being a part of the family, and we can't wait to see you there.
My number 5 was The Fabelmans, which is probably the last Spielberg movie that I saw, at least that I can think of. Mm-hmm. And there is a line from Ted Lasso that I think about all the time. He says, when Rebecca's mom comes to visit, he says, "Oh, I just love meeting people's moms. It's like a window into why they're crazy."
I love it.
And I feel like this movie, we get this, it's autobiographical about his family, his life growing up, his siblings. And it's just like a little window into why he is the quirky human that he is. And when you see his mom, played by Michelle Williams, and all of her eccentric characteristics, and that she owns a monkey, like all of the things, I loved this. It gives me such a window into why he made the movies that he did, why he was so passionate about filmmaking. And then, of course, I had a little bit of, we have a lot of Steven Spielberg lore here in Phoenix because he spent a lot of his childhood here. I think they moved when he was like a young teen, maybe still in like Boy Scouts age. He moved here, and actually my friend lives in a house that's next door to his family home. And there's like a story, I'm not sure if it's true, but that he fell out of the tree that's in her yard and broke his arm.
Oh, wow.
But I go to the Little Phoenix Theater here, which they have their own Steven Spielberg entrance. Like we definitely love him here in Phoenix. And I loved getting to see so much of my home in this movie. I just loved it. And I also feel like it doesn't really get talked about enough. I was glad that it was nominated for an Oscar, but I think it was a really big year. There were a lot of great films, and this one sort of got overlooked.
And this one came very close to making my list. I also love it. And I do have a little tease, but I have another Spielberg, Tony Kushner collaboration that did make my list. But this came very close. And I was listening to a podcast the other day, and one of the hosts on there said that The Fabelmans changes the way you look at every other Spielberg movie, like past and present. And even with part of the reason we're doing this episode now is because Disclosure Day came out just this past weekend. And when I was watching that, I also thought about The Fabelmans because, it is it is still technically fictional, but it's very semi-autobiographical. And I think what I love about it the most is it never judges either of the parents. Like, I mean, it's a very honest commentary, and it shows how, he's very open about this, how from his father, he inherited the technical skills that he has as a filmmaker and the attention to detail. And from his mother, he inherited the emotional, artistic side. And, because he, Spielberg critics will often say he's too sentimental and whatnot, which I think is, incredibly narrow-minded. But because, again, when you look at the fusion of emotional depth and sentimentality and the technical wizardry in his films. But I love how he talks about it from both. And yes, he clearly had resentment toward both of his parents for different reasons growing up. And he's not shying away from that, but he also shows them as very human and in the same way that he is. And, he struggled in his own adult life and with his kids early on. And he went through a previous marriage. And so, I think the best meme about the Fabelmans is like, yeah, men would rather go become Oscar-winning filmmakers than go to therapy. I was like,
they will do anything to avoid therapy.
Which is pretty spot on in this case because, like Spielberg has said, he hasn't gone to therapy in decades, but but film for him is like the way he processes his emotions. And this is by far the most vulnerable he's ever been. And I love watching the commentaries here too, where him and Tony Kushner talk about the writing process and they wrote this during COVID. It's an absolutely phenomenal film. I also think it doesn't get talked about enough, and I wish more people had seen it when it came out. But I think it's starting to get more recognition, and I hope. It was very well received critically. Like you said, was nominated for an Oscar, rightfully so. But I just wish like more people had gone out to see it in theaters because it is one of his just all-time greatest films.
Yep, I agree. And I just want to say one more thing about it. I think we're so lucky that he made it at the age that he was because of everything you mentioned before. He can be so generous with his parents. His dad had already passed. I'm not actually sure about how old his mom.
I'd have to look.
She's still with us.
I think she has passed now, but she might have been still alive when he was making it, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, where if he's making this movie in his 30s, it is not nearly as kind to either parent.
100%. Yeah. Noah Kahn is one of my favorite musicians today. And sometimes he's younger than I am. And his albums go deep into his like family history. And I'm like, there's an element of uncomfortable, but his family's very supportive. So that's cool. But, and he does and he's very like supportive of his family. He's open about how we all go through mental health struggles. But yes, I agree. If this had been made like when he was much younger, it would have come across as angry toward his parents, where now it's I think a beautiful reflection, and and again it highlights their positive qualities and their humanity and all the messiness that comes with that.
Yep. And it gives us a lens to all of his other films, like you said, and I'm sure that will come up later too. But moving along, I would love to hear about your number 4 pick.
Absolutely. I'm actually wearing the shirt right now.
You are.
I know this one's audio, but Close Encounters of the Third Kind is one of my all-time favorite sci-fi movies, Spielberg movies. Of course I love E.T. I did really enjoy Disclosure Day, and I think like all three work together as companion pieces to one another. And with Close Encounters, there's several things about it that are really fascinating. For one, it is pretty minimal dialogue. Like, you don't really learn. You learn a lot about the characters, but you also talking. Fabelmans is something again co-written by Tony Kushner, so it has very much like a playwright lens to it. It's a lot of dialogue, a lot of characterization. This is long stretches of the movie go without any dialogue, and it's a lot of just performances through the physicality and the facial expressions. And the closing is one of my all-time favorite Spielberg sequences. This extended scene where the aliens arrive, and it has one of the all-time best John Williams scores. I know we could say that about pretty much any of the movies on our list, but this one especially is just one of his all-time greats. And it's fun, building on what we were just talking about his parents and the personalization. So, Richard Dreyfuss's character is not the most likable. I was just rewatching it a few weeks ago, and I was like, oh yeah, it still bothers me that the guy, I like the wonder element and the way he's, he feels this higher calling to seek out the aliens, and he knows there's something out there, but also he abandons his family, and and the movie doesn't definitively say if him and the other woman run off together or not, but they have some kind of flirtatious affair, and that always bothered me. But I also think it was never an intention to make the character flawless by any chance. Like, this was very much, building on his experiences, tapping into his childhood in the same way that E.T. does, in the same way that so many of his other films do. So I like that he's not, a perfect protagonist. That doesn't mean I like him, but going back to the sense of wonder and that higher calling, the spiritual sense that, I like how and this very much comes back to Disclosure Day as well, which highly recommend seeing if you haven't already. But yeah, Spielberg's fascination with connecting an element of spirituality to the existence of extraterrestrials, I think, is fascinating. And that's, this was really the first time he did that, because this was 1977, a few years before E.T., and, all the other sci-fi movies he made. So I just think it really captures that so well. The mashed potato scene when he's building that, all-time classic there. I love it. There's that. It's just one of those where it says so much without a lot of dialogue. And I think it leaves room for different interpretations every time. And again, very much I'm after seeing Fabelmans and after following Spielberg's career for so many years, you view it with a different lens on rewatches, and I love that about this movie. It's just it's not one where it's like, okay, easy to dissect, easy to, there's like a lot of rich themes here. And this came out the same year as Star Wars. 77 was quite a year. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I realized that. I don't often think about like release dates of movies.
Yeah. And it's one of the few too, typically Spielberg does collaborate with a screenwriter, or, he's always very involved in the process, but this is one he wrote solo. So it really is one of his most personable films. And again, connecting it with E.T. and Disclosure Day now, I think that just works as a perfect trilogy.
Mm-hmm. Oh, good. I'm excited to see Disclosure Day for that reason. When I think about this movie, I think a lot of this theme of that you touched on, like personal responsibility to your family versus like a calling, a spiritual calling, and what takes more precedence. And not that like one choice is right or wrong, but that each following either one would have consequences.
Yeah.
And we just kind of get to see that. And I think that's a theme in a lot of his movies. And this is maybe the first time that you get to see it played out.
And I also like, too, how it doesn't give major details at the end about, okay, what happens after this? Like, do the aliens just leave, or do they form some kind of connection with humanity? Because it compares a lot. I don't know, have you ever seen The Day the Earth Stood Still, like the original, the 50s film?
Mm-mm.
So that's a great one where it's about an alien trying to establish contact with humanity, and he kind of issues a challenge to world nations at the end to work together, and it's a very optimistic sci-fi film. I think this was heavily inspired by it. But yeah, I like how, they arrive, there's this sense of awe and wonder, but you don't know exactly what purpose. Are they just visiting? Are they trying to, deliver a message to humanity? I like how it just does this amazing extended sequence, and then it leaves you to your own imagination to see what happens after that.
Yep. More questions than answers.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, and which I recognize not everyone's cup of tea, but that's actually what I really like about this and Disclosure Day. E.T. I think has a more definitive a narrative in that sense, but this and Disclosure Day ask more questions than provide answers, and I think there's certainly a place for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
My number 4 was Hook, and honestly, it's my number 1, but I just feel embarrassed to say that.
Don't be embarrassed. Really, the only reason it didn't make my list is because it's also one of my all-time favorite. Is again just the trying to narrow this down. But I'm a millennial. I love Hook so much, and I have no shame in saying that.
So much. So it's a story about what happens when Peter Pan grows up, and I love the mythology of Peter Pan. I will watch it in any genre played out in any way, whatever adaptation. I always enjoy a Peter Pan story. And Robin Williams is just one of my favorite actors of all time. He always will be. seeing Robin Williams as a grown-up Peter Pan that has to go back to Neverland to rescue his children and just remember who he is and connect with that childhood spirit that's inside of him. It's so good. It's just brilliant. The whole cast is great. But the thing that makes me love it so much, and now I can't even watch it without just sobbing my eyes out the whole time, is, I believe that our capacity for joy is directly related to our capacity for sorrow. I just think it's a pendulum that swings. And Robin Williams is one of those people that can give us, want to tear up when I think about it.
I know. Oh, shit. Yeah.
He can give us so much joy, and you can see it's in him. It lives in him, which means that other pendulum swing means he is capable of such deep sorrow and sadness and depression.
Yeah.
Which ultimately ended up being the reason that he lost his life.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a line at the end of the movie where he says, so the line in the book, the Peter Pan book, is to die. Now that would be the greatest adventure. But in the movie, Peter Pan says, now to live, that would be an awfully great adventure. And I just sob, cry.
I get why not everyone connected with this movie. And I mean, as Spielberg famously, I don't know if he necessarily regrets making it, but he had frustrations with it and wasn't as out, when he came out of it.
He said there was some pacing issues and he would have written the second act differently. Sure. I actually think it's perfect just the way it is. I don't want to change anything. I
do too. I mean, it's one, even if I hadn't grown up on it, I don't know. I think even if I let's just say I was an adult, I hadn't seen it 1,000 times like I have, and I was watching for this time, I feel like I would still find the joy in it and how good it. And it's interesting too because I was listening to a commentary the other day, trying to get an idea of why people don't like it as much. And there are some people. There was a guy saying well, it's a real tonal inconsistency because the end of the movie basically just has him reverting back to childhood, and I'm like, I don't think it's that. It's the I think if the character, right, let's say reverted back to childhood and went to childhood fantasies, that would mean him staying in Neverland, abandoning his family and running off with Tinkerbell. What I love about the ending, he didn't do that. What I love about it is, like you said, he reconnects with his childhood to become a better father. And, it's not, I don't see it as when he gets back to England with his family, he's going to forever, throw away all his responsibilities. No, he's making a conscious decision to be present in the moment for his family. And he may get a different job after that. I hope he does. Because it's more, okay, I'm not going to prioritize a business meeting over being there for my kid, and I mean, that's a beautiful message. I mean, and I never understood why people think that's totally inconsistent, but no, I love Hook. And Robin Williams, I know we could do a whole episode on this, but I mean, one of my all-time, not just favorite actors, but creative inspirations. That's one celebrity death that I will remember exactly where I was, how heartbroken I was. That one literally just got me and ripped because movie was just so foundational to my childhood and inspired me to be a creative person. So yeah, no. And have you read the biography Robin by David Schaff?
No.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I don't know.
It might break your heart too, but it's also fascinating too. It's not just heartbreak. It's a really fascinating insight into his life too. But you'll still cry, but it's a great book though.
Yeah. Okay. I'll put it on my list.
Yeah. But and also quick plug, we did a drive-in episode of Hook. I think last year, I think it was me and Evan did that. And so, that one's not super long, but yes, my love of this movie is well documented elsewhere as well.
Very good. Well, I'll go back and listen.
Yeah.
And then so we only had one movie in our list of 5 that had overlap. And for you, it was your number
3.
1. Or no, you're 3.
Yeah. It's your
it was my
one.
number 1. Yeah, it was my number 1. Yeah.
Yeah.
So go ahead. You can kick us off with it.
So when it comes to the debate about which is the best Indiana Jones movie, I mean, of course I love Raiders, but when it's no question for me, my favorite has always been Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, because as much as I love Raiders of the Lost Ark, I think Last Crusade, the emotional epicenter that drives it, culminating with the great action sequences and all the stuff about Indy that we love. But it's that emotional epicenter of obviously the father-son story, and it's so meta to have Sean Connery play Indiana Jones' father, mainly because not only because they have such good chemistry, but also Spielberg famously tried to get the rights to direct James Bond, and was kept getting denied, and that's when George Lucas said, "Hey, I've got a better idea," and they conceived Indiana Jones together. So, and I mean, I'm kind of glad he didn't. I mean, yes, a Spielberg Bond movie sounds awesome, but if that meant we never got Indiana Jones, like, I'm totally okay with that. It never happened. I'm also not like the hugest Bond fan. I know that's like, but
no,
like,
me too. Same.
I like Indiana Jones better. So, but getting Sean Connery to play the father, it's a perfect story there, and they play off each other so well. But also the faith story also comes into play here, where like I think it builds on Raiders perfectly, because I mean, as much as Raiders is a big pulpy adventure story, there's still definitely an element of faith that revolves around them finding the Lost Ark. And I would say Indiana Jones in that movie, he still has a reverence for the cultural and historic elements of every piece of archaeology he's seeking out, and same goes with the Lost Ark. But he's not necessarily a faithful person when it comes to that. I mean, he has yes, he covers his eyes at the end when he knows that the Nazis are getting destroyed by what's clearly a supernatural power. But even then, it's not so much that he still has an element of cynicism and reservation when it comes to all that, much like Han Solo not believing in the Force. But with Last Crusade, it really pushes him to literally take a leap of faith. And I love that exchange when they find the Holy Grail, and he meets with the knight there, and it's just such a great scene. But yeah, Last Crusade just has everything I want in a movie, from like right down to the like 15-minute or so origin with a younger Indiana Jones, played by
River Phoenix.
Yeah, River Phoenix playing him. He nails it, and I love the line where he's like, "It's just a snake, calm down." Like they do the origin of why he's afraid of snakes, and that's a great sequence. When it cuts from him as younger Indiana Jones to Harrison Ford saying that belongs in a museum. It's a perfect transition. From that point on, it just gets better and better. The action's great. Again, the emotional core is what drives it. There's heart and humor throughout. It just, I mean, I know they made 2 movies after that, but I mean, like, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you've ever read the Frank Darabont script. That would have been a good follow-up, but still, Last Crusade, it's where he should have ridden into the sunset. It was the perfect ending. But yeah, I love this movie. Yeah.
I agree. I think everything about it is perfect.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just love it. I love the whole father-son thing. And like going back to, I'm glad we talked about the Fablemans early. Yeah. I feel like this is the movie that we most get to know his dad, like Steven Spielberg's dad through his eyes in this film. And I like really love at the end, Sean Connery calls him Indiana.
Yes.
Because that's not his name, and he never calls him that. And he kind of looks up and says, "What?" And he goes, "Just let it go."
Yep. Oh, and then I think one of my favorite scenes is when they're on the plane and Indy is trying to open up to his father about like how like, look, we never even had like a heart-to-heart conversation, and he's like, okay, like, and just like, what do you want to talk about? Like, and like, and then he's just like, I can't think of anything, and he's like, well, what are you complaining about? Like, I love that exchange so much. Like, he's just so oblivious to like, and then, it makes the, heart to heart that they do have later when he thinks for a minute that Indy died and he just pours his heart out. It's such a beautiful, it's all like, it's surprising that Sean Connery never played other iconic, like, he was offered roles like Gandalf, for instance, and turned it down. It would have been interesting, but here it's just a perfect pairing. They have such good chemistry. The heart and humor is there. The villains are great. Again, love Raiders, but there's never been a like contest there for me in terms of which is my favorite.
Same. And I love all three. To me, the franchise ended with Last Crusade. I don't even talk about those other two, but
that's fair.
It was really good. Yeah. And then my number 3 was the dinosaur classic, Jurassic Park.
Heck yeah.
And this is probably the first movie I remember really being terrified in the theater. Even though I have memories of seeing Ghostbusters, but I don't think Ghostbusters was scary for me. I think I was too little to really be scared. I just thought it was like fantastical. But I was scared out of my pants watching Jurassic Park as an 11-year-old in the theater with my dad. And then it's so fun. Like our movie theater here in Arizona, we have Harkins. It's a family-owned movie theater franchise. And they do like movie classics. So my dad was able to take my kids when they were little. They were maybe 6 and 7, and he took them to see Jurassic Park, and they were also scared.
I can only imagine. I kind of because I was actually born the year Jurassic Park came out. Same year Schindler's List came out. And like so, I didn't have the theatrical experience there. I don't remember exactly how old I was when I watched it, but no, it's a visceral experience the first time you see it, and the way technology had changed so much just that year, like, and right after Terminator 2, this era that I grew up on CG and motion capture technology, like this was what was paving the way for that. And yeah, I mean, like, I'm not like the biggest Jurassic Park buff, like no diss to it. It's just like, I don't know the like trivia and stuff as much as, and it's not like my all time favorite franchise. Now, granted, this is one, I think it should have been one movie. That's just because I think it's more like, nothing ever tops the original for one, but also like, it's more premise driven. Like same how Jaws shouldn't have had sequels. That's just my opinion.
Right.
Like,
I get that. We just need one.
Right. Like Indiana Jones, perfect franchise. But there's others where you hit the ultimate high here. You don't need to, go any more than that. But it's an all-time classic. I know it's, a favorite movie for so many, and rightfully so.
This one does deserve a little honorable mention. I was talking about it with my husband today. This is the first movie also. So I'm 11, maybe 12 when I see it. Yeah. And it was the first moment that I had like I don't even know if I would call like a sexual awakening, but it was the first time I saw an actor that I was like, whoo, that's a good looking man. And it was Jeff Goldblum.
I mean, like, who else were you going to say? I can't, I could have finished the sentence for you, but yeah. But I mean,
the black shirt with the buttons, like halfway down to his belly button, there was a little bit of chest hair coming out. I mean, just sex.
I love how now I love how now, like, he's more almost like comedy and meme icon, like, but I mean, like, so, yes, he was like the dude at that time, especially in that movie.
Yes. Yeah. And then that I still think one of the most terrifying moments is like the doorknob moving because the T-Rex is on the other side, that figures out how to open the door and get into that hotel kitchen. Just, it's brilliantly done.
And I mean, to talk about a perfect ensemble cast, like, fun fact too is that Harrison Ford was offered the role, Sam Neill's character. He turned it down.
I'm glad he didn't take it.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, it's like, yes, of course he could have fit that perfectly, but Sam Neill made it iconic. Yeah. It was just, there's not a cast member I would change here.
I agree. Casting is perfect.
Hey friends, it's your pal Will Rose here, and let me break the fourth wall a moment and look directly at you through the camera or speak directly to you in your earbuds. Yep, I'm talking to you, Susie. You too, Chad. You can now support Systematic Geekology on Fourth Wall. That's a website. You'll find all of our episodes, incredible merch like shirts and hoodies and mugs, Chad, I would love to see you in one of those shirts out in the wild. You get bonus episodes. We answer bonus questions. We have special shout outs. We have certain episodes that you pick. So you help us create and curate the content that we put out for the world to hear. You even get free merch. And you can support the show at different levels. You could join at the free level. Yep, we love free members, free support. Join it. Or you could become a sidekick for as little as $5 a month. You could join the elves and dwarves for $10 a month. You could become a wizard for $15 a month, or you could go to divinity school and become a cleric for $20 a month. And that's way cheaper than going to seminary, believe me. Or at $25 a month, you could become a superhero. And let me just say, we love all of our listeners, whether you support us at the free level or the superhero level. We love you. We love geeking out with you. Like, support, share the show. Love you.
Okay. We're getting close to number 1, but let's hear your number 2, please. I love this one.
This was so as I teased earlier, I had a Spielberg Tony Kushner collaboration on here. So I mean, you and I both have theater backgrounds. Like we talked about that, and and for me, I think there was a long dry spell of movie musicals, good one. There just wasn't I was waiting for so long for a return to the classic golden age of movie musicals of 30s and 40s, 50s. And we just didn't really have, frankly, any good ones for the longest time. And then in 2021, 3 back-to-back amazing movies came out of In the Heights, Tick, Tick, Boom, which is one of my all-time favorite movies. I'll talk about that another time. And then West Side Story, which is when Spielberg first announced it, I mean, I know there were fans of the original. They were like, do we need a remake of that? And what I love about this is and he even says because he has so much reverence for the original film, but I wouldn't even call this a remake so much as Spielberg's interpretation of the stage musical and bringing it to cinematic life. He adds his own unique vision. I mean, because I watched the 60s film right before I saw this, and yeah, I mean, it's yes, you can compare, and of course Rita Moreno is in both, but there's a legacy element in this one, but they're 2 totally different films. And I mean, the script is unique, even the way the songs are done, but this is one where when I was watching it with my dad first time, because my dad's a huge fan of just the show in general. His high school did West Side Story, so we both just loved the film. And for let's see, because Spielberg is 80 now, so I mean he was mid 70s then when it came out. For him to make this at that age, and to and yes, of course, a lot of other collaborators deserve proper credit here. Janusz Kaminski, the cinematographer, the choreography, Tony Kushner's screenplay, it all comes together so well. But the way Spielberg makes such electrifying sequences, I'm particularly thinking of America here, the way that song is done, because in the 60s film, not that it's not great, but it's them on a rooftop singing. Yeah. Here, it starts off in Bernardo and Anita's apartment, and from there, you almost feel like it's a one-shot just because of the way the camera moves and the way the scene flows, but it goes from the apartment to going outside into the city and goes all over, and it brings to life this vibrant community. And even though it's a tragic story, that's one of the most uplifting moments in the film. And I mean, even just on YouTube, I watched that one song with the scene from the film over and over again. It's just the perfect movie musical. And it brought such great performances from Ariana DeBose, Mike Feist, who, side note, is still my pick to play Harry Osborn in the MCU. He plays Riff in this. I think he would be great in that. But and then Bernardo, Rachel Zegler is Maria, and then having Rita Moreno return to the. It's just it's chef's kiss there. Now I am aware of Ansel Elgort, not a great person, and also I do hate that the allegations about him, like, I think did taint the film, and like not many people, as many people watched it in theaters as I wish they had, because it's a, but I love the rest of the cast. So, but yeah, this has become an annual watch for me, especially around the holidays.
Okay.
I love watching it around like Thanksgiving, Christmas. It's just, it's heartbreaking, electrifying. And again, I know I keep coming back to Tony Kushner, but one of the all-time great playwrights, and he wrote this, and he co-wrote Fabelmans, and he wrote Munich and Lincoln. So him and Spielberg go way back. And this is a perfect collaboration with them, where this is a perfect adaptation musical. So absolutely love this movie.
Yeah, I love it. I agree. I have only seen it once, but now you're kind of inspiring me by saying that it's an annual watch for you. I'm gonna revisit it, and for sure revisit the America song. I love Rita Moreno, like in the original. I just love her. Who plays Anita? Oh,
Ariana DeBose. Yeah. And that's one of the coolest things is they both won Oscars for the same role. It's one of the few times in Oscar history where two different actors have won an Oscar for the same role. The others are like De Niro and Marlon Brando for playing Vito Corleone, and then Joaquin Phoenix and Heath Ledger for Joker.
Okay. Oh, that's cool. Yeah. That's a really neat fact. Yeah, I love that. So I will revisit this. It's interesting, even though it is, it's an adaptation, it still is like so many of the classic themes. It's like family, beauty and tragedy, playing this dance between the two of each other. There's so much compassion.
And the immigrant experience and all the, like the themes that play into that, like the opening shot is, construction going on at the Lincoln Center, and just talking about gentrification and like all those things. Like it gives so much more agency, I think, to the sharks in this movie and Bernardo and all them than the original. I think the original one does. Absolutely. Yeah.
It also helps as a viewer, especially like a younger viewer. I would think, I don't consider myself a younger viewer, but to be able to say like, oh, I understand these issues that are happening right now, and they're not new.
Exactly.
Right? It was the same struggle in the 60s. That was the same struggle in the 40s, that actually in the 20s. Yeah.
100%.
America's going to America.
Yep. America's going to America. And that's what I love. I think this is going to speak to so many generations.
Yeah, it's a classic. It's a true classic. And he did it so well. My number 2 is probably a lot of people's number 1, but it's E.T. Extraterrestrial. It's just, now that you said it's a trilogy, it's the second movie in a brilliant trilogy exploring what could be out there beyond Earth as far as intelligent life. And he's just the cutest alien. This is the most 80s movie I can imagine. There's so much of it that reminds me of my childhood. I think of my siblings and their childhood as well. I'm like quite a bit younger than my siblings. And if Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade is how we get Spielberg's father through his eyes, this is, I think, how we get his mother.
Absolutely.
And really, it's a commentary on divorce and on family. And it's optimistic, really. It's hopeful. It's honest. It's an honest look at family. I love it. And one of my favorite memes when I was a young mom was something that said, if you feel guilty about things like getting lost in your house, just like, don't even think about it. The mom from E.T. had an alien living in her home for a month and she didn't even know.
She had no idea. Yep. It is one of the all-time greats of them being able to conceal that. It was the best, but yeah. And the child actors there too, like when young Drew Barrymore, young Henry Thomas, and it was so cool because I was watching a podcast with Spielberg the other day, talking about Disclosure Day, but he talked about E.T. at one point, and he said that Drew Barrymore and Henry Thomas, all them they genuinely thought the alien puppet was so real, and they interacted with it when the cameras weren't rolling, and that's how he knew they were just such gifted actors. But not only that, but they genuinely believed it, and it just made it all the better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so good. It's
Yeah.
so good. Let me hear about your number one, please.
So this was an interesting one too, because again, I could easily pick Hook, I could easily pick Jaws, but in terms of one that is not as optimistic, but I think actually has a hopeful message, even though it's got predominantly darker elements. But Minority Report is I think my favorite Spielberg film and one of my all-time favorite sci-fi movies. This a concept of and it's something I talk about, one that was very ahead of its time. This came out in the early 2000s, and it is super relevant now with AI and modern technology, but
And with social media.
Yes. Oh my gosh. There's so much you can look at it, because the concept of this future police organization that can detect crime before it happens, and it examines the ethics of that. And what I love about the film is it starts off with you rooting for that system, because they're like, hey, this sounds kind of ideal. They're like, crime rates are way down. It's preventing murders and assaults and everything. Like, this sounds ideal. Like, who would want this? And then as the story progresses, and the protagonist is the victim of the flaws within this system, then you go on this rapid journey. And I love film noir, like you were talking about spider noir earlier, so I love that genre, and Blade Runner and all that. And it all, the technology is so cool. Of course, Tom Cruise, I have my own opinions about him as a person, but no one can deny, of course, I love his movies. No one can deny that the man is like a gifted action star, and this it very much showcases that. But not just that, like, his range as a performer as well. I think he really commits to this role as in terms of fatherhood. This guy who lost his son, he blames himself for it, and he's on a mission there of kind of redemption while being hunted down by this police force. But the reason I say that, even though this film is much darker and maybe different from a lot of other Spielberg films, but also I think still has an optimistic ending, is because it examines all these elements of, what would a utopian kind of society require? What could technology fix so much of things? Like, could we put more faith in systems and all this stuff? But, it recognizes the power of humanity ultimately by the end of it, because, when they are willing to say, like, hey, we're not willing to sacrifice even one life for quote unquote the greater good. And yes, with the end of the movie, does it mean crime is going to skyrocket after that? I don't know. But I still think it reveals that humanity is at its core, still has strength and still has something worth fighting for. So I think that's what I take away from the movie the most. This is another one. I know we're running out of time, but I will say, if you want to go to a more in-depth discussion of this one, we actually did an episode last year with Dr. Tom Ord on this movie, where we went deep into the philosophical and theological themes. So check that one out. I feel like I was way out of my league there, talking with Dr. Ord, and then Andy, I was on there. I'm like, okay, y'all are making me feel like I have 1 degree. I'm not doctor here. But it was a great discussion. So
I bet it is.
But I love this movie. I think it's one of his most inventive, just most rewatchable. And even there is still humor embedded in there. It's thrilling from start to finish. I just love it all around.
Yeah, I love it. I'm going to go back and find that episode, because like Dr. Ord, I am an open and relational theologian. And I think this movie, I can imagine the discussions that you had about the choice of free will and control and certainty versus letting people do what they will do.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. And I just think I also loved this movie. It's probably the first science fiction movie that I liked.
Right.
And thought, this is a genre that's available for me. I do like this.
Yeah.
And now I have lots that I've watched. But it's the idea that that's not really why crime happens. Like, Crime exists because of injustice. That's not really the thing that they're trying to tackle.
Sure.
Most crime.
Right.
But I love it. And we're rounding up, and I know we have to finish up. So we haven't really talked about maybe some of the things we don't love about Steven Spielberg films and what could be missing. I'll just say for me, like quickly, he is who he is. And we know that we approach art from our own social location. And so there's a little bit of a DEI problem in a lot of the movies, all the ones that we've mentioned, like the main characters, if they're human, are white males.
Right.
The heroes are white males. And we get definitely like a Jewish perspective, and in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, we get a Christian perspective, but we're missing some other voices. He addresses a little bit more in Munich, which, we didn't talk about, but I just think is another great film about nuance and religious nuance.
Sure.
And faith. That was probably the only critique I would have for now.
I agree there. I was even thinking about recording it before this episode. I'm like, man, I do love Tintin, but it's like they don't have a single female character or any. Like I never say it's like it's all dudes, and I mean, I would love to show my niece and nephews that one, but I think about that with my niece. I was like, I want to show her strong female characters and like a range of stories here. I'm still waiting for them to want to sit down and watch Hook, because I've been checking, because my niece even did a Peter Pan unit in school this year, and I was like, have you heard of Hook? And she's like, no, that sounds boring. I was like, I'm not gonna force you to, but she's 9, so I'll give her time. But yes, one day we will. And I really do hope she likes it. But yes, I agree. I mean, that's probably would be my main, because I don't really have the criticism in terms of, they're too sentimental, because as we've talked about, I think they're because of especially learning more about the background, I think he really does fuse the can have cold natured characters and very emotional ones and very emotional movies. So I think he's done a range of that. But yes, I think more voices, and maybe, and I think that might help with maybe working with different collaborators. As much as I love him collaborating with Tony Kushner and David Koepp and some others, I would love for him to see him work with more female writers. And I would just be curious to see what he does with his remaining years. I still love him, and it's just it's a critique. We should critique the things we love. Sure.
I heard him in an interview recently in New York Times, The Daily, and he said that he gets together with a group of directors regularly, and they paint monsters at Guillermo del Toro's mansion.
Which I know. I mean, I know Del Toro has probably one of the coolest houses ever to exist. And I would love to see that at some point. But yeah, that's just a nerd fantasy.
Amazing, right? Yeah, and then I'm just thinking well, I hope some of those directors will maybe just hold his feet to the fire a little bit. Right? We can imagine him there with Guillermo del Toro and Ryan Coogler and saying love your films. How about we talk about this? Or would you ever consider making a movie, that didn't center white males? Right.
Absolutely. And it's Disclosure Day, I would say even a little more with Emily Blunt and Josh O'Connor are kind of both the leads, but and Coleman Domingo is great in it too. But yes, I agree. I think it's we've done a lot of white male stories. Let's branch out a little more.
Yeah. And then now that I have fallen in love with Black Panther and gotten Killmonger's view on museums, that the very first thought I had after I left Black Panther was, well, wait a second. I've been thinking my whole life that artifacts belong in a museum because Indiana Jones said that. But maybe not. Maybe they actually belong with the people that should own them.
I love it.
European museums.
Even if they do a podcast like Spielberg and Ryan Coogler together, that would be great to talk about. Amazing. That.
I know. I mean, they could be out there. We should just search, maybe.
I'll look.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining me, Kevin. This is great.
Oh, I could easily talk for hours on this. I know, Oh, this was a blast.
Yeah, thank you. And we would love to hear from you, the audience. We'd love to hear what are your favorite Spielberg films and what do you think we missed? I'm sure there were some gross errors here, and you let us know. And if this was enjoyable to you, we ask that you like or subscribe to our podcast. Thanks so much.
Thanks, everyone.
Hey guys, Christian here to talk about our YouTube page. That's where you can go find us at youtube.com/@systematicgeekology. We have exclusive stuff there, exclusive videos where you can just hear other topics that you'll never hear on the podcast proper. These include things like comic book catch-up, where we're discussing the newest comics that we're reading, Friday Night Frights, where Joe Day and I explore a cryptozoological, paranormal, ufological item of discussion. Has a lot of good fun there. I have a lot of great times with him. We have spontaneous YouTube shorts that we decided to do a topic we wanted to discuss. They're in a very short form. We do them there as well. You can interact with us live as we're recording like a What's New episode or something like that. You have something you want to chime in? Well, how can you do it unless you head over to youtube.com/@systematicgeekology. All right, guys. See ya.
This is Joshua Knoll. I am one of the hosts of this podcast. I am also host a few other shows on the Anazal Podcast Network that this show is a part of. If you want to hear more from me, you can check out the Whole Church Podcast, where TJ and I go through talking to people from various different church traditions to see what can be done to better harness church unity in the world today. You can also hear me on Be Living Water, where I talk about Taoist Christian beliefs and examine various media like the Book of Daniel and Les Miserables through a Taoist Christian perspective. You can also hear me as I do some of the voice work for the Bible After Hours, where the foul-mouthed preacher goes through the Bible from a more progressive point of view. Thank you guys for listening, and I hope you'll consider checking out these other shows on the Anazal Podcast Network.